All right, let's try this again. My first attempt didn't really work out so well. I got a couple of choices, but that doesn't really matter. So I'm going through and I'm going to try to make or show how I would make a random encounter, or if I'm just trying to fill out and make some encounters for a tabletop RPG. My thought right now is probably something Dungeon Crawl Classics or Shadow Dark related, so thematically it should fit with those. I flipped through these two books already and just sort of picked a couple of charts and got some answers. My thing so far is that a time period of the fifth interregnum of chaos, as well as that there's a land shark attacking the area, and also that there's an earth whirlpool pulling trees into it. Those were some of the different things that I pulled out. To show you the process of what I do a lot of times is I will go through a book like this, say, and I'll just see a page and I just look for what sounds interesting to me at a given time. Actually, let me start with this because I feel like there might be a genre concept in the beginning of this one. I think there's something like that. This is the Fantasy Tome of Lists, the number 1. And let's see, airship improvements, alignments, animal relics, army name generator, bard instruments. Yeah, see, this isn't really coming up with what I was thinking about. Oh, here's one, fantasy locations. This would be a good one to roll on. So, fantasy locations, 49. Not on this page, on the next one, 49. We have Frontier Outpost. Large and powerful kingdoms build small keeps in the wilds around their lands, which act as watch guards against invasion. That's a little too almost sort of on the nose, I feel like. That's such a common trope in these games. So 78. Let's try a second one. 78, Savage Frontier. Okay, we're really getting into the frontier stuff here. Let's try one more. 27, what do we have? And this is what I sometimes do. Deep Forest. This magic forest is filled with enchantments that allow a person to stay young forever. But it is teeming with forest guardians that will defend this magical place with their lives. All right. I'm going to keep that one. So, Deep Forest. Strong magic. Fountain of Youth. Now, that could connect in with the land shark in the area or the earth whirlpool. What could be causing that? If this is the fifth interregnum of chaos, who knows? Let's see, fantasy quests. Here's a fantasy quests chart. I'm just going to roll and see if something fits. 46. 46 is God Killers. Your party must destroy an evil god. Ooh. Quest to kill an evil god. And I'm just going to throw one more quest possibility in here. Let's see what this one says. Oh, it would help if I didn't flip to the wrong page. 5. This is Bloody Rebellion. Your party must stop a rebellion from destroying a noble kingdom and save its king. Okay, I'm just going to throw that in there, that there is a rebellion against, my goodness, A good king must be stopped. Okay, so flip to another. Let's just kind of look through here. Fortunes, giant names, jungle exploration, magic artifacts. Oh, this is always a good one. So this is a D66. Blue is first. 35. 35 is cog hammer. This arcane weapon has counter-rotating gears on its head that will tear anything apart that it touches. Okay. So let's see. Cog hammer. Grinding cogs on the head cause more damage. Okay, maybe that's something that's special to be used against the gods. Let's see what we have. What is this long section here? So this is what I kind of do when I'm... well, here's another magic weapons. This is a D200. So even, it's for 1 to 100. Odd, it's for, yes, 100 to 200. So odd, 60, so 165. 165. But yeah, this is what I'll sometimes do. And I just go through and roll. And I see Sword of Detonation. This magic sword causes an opponent struck by it to explode. Okay. Enemy explodes. Explodes? Explodes. Okay, so that's from this book. I'm going to jump to another book and take a look. But yeah, so I, like when I was putting together a Dungeon Crawl Classics game a few years back, I did this process, and through, I had all kinds of different things written down, and I kind of sifted through them, and I came up with a story. It was there was a tower on, like a shore or shoreline or something, and it was an old ruined tower, and in the basement, so it's like dangerous. There was rolled up a whole bunch of stuff. There was like a crumbly staircase that went down into the basement, and then in the basement there was the body of a death knight, and she had been killed in the collapse, but her ghost was still there, and it was so convoluted. So like her ghost had been stuck there for so long that the ghost itself had kind of become this Zen sort of force. The ghost had given up the Death Knight ways and become this kind of Zen figure. And what else was going on? Like they could get information from the ghost. There was a secret that the ghost could pass on. If they buried the ghost's bones, then it would grant them a boon of some kind. But also the bones were in the Death Knight's armor. And the Death Knight's armor was almost like an infection. So whoever touched it first, the armor would cover up their, it would basically, like living metal would cover their body. And this was all stuff that came through these charts. And it was just, it was a wild bit of fun, and I really enjoyed that. And it was just something I would never have come up with if I hadn't gone through and done this sort of thing. I'm just going to roll on this one, Crystal Magic, which is not an exotic dancer. So let's see, 62 on Crystal Magic. This spell creates a crystal cage that will bounce around any spell cast within it. Okay, so I'm going to write down spell catching crystal cages. I don't know how that mixes with what I've written so far, but I'm going to write it down, and if I come up with something, great. And if I don't, that's fine, because that's what I'll do is I'll take these things that I've rolled, and I'll look and I'll see which ones mesh well and which ones don't. Final bosses. Here's a good one. Let me roll on a final boss. We got 44. Now we know we're trying to kill an evil god. Helix. This god of creation is composed of various multicolored geometric shapes that each control a specific aspect of reality. Okay. God Helix. Geometric shapes. That control aspects of reality. Okay. Well, that might mesh with something. All right. I'm sure this part's like super exciting. I had thought about going through and picking some specific charts to roll on, and I didn't do that, and I probably should have. Because then I thought, no, I'll just make it as spontaneous as I can here, but instead I'm just kind of flipping through. Oh, I like that shrine. Did I just see shrines? Shrine Maiden spells. Okay. Oh. 26. Dance of the Unicorn. The spell makes a person unhittable in close combat. That doesn't really work with anything that I need. Okay. I mean, maybe it would if I really worked at it, but I'm not going to right now. Let me see. I'm going to skip that one for right now. Let's go to... I feel like there's some weird ones in this GM Gems. They have like rumors. 100 unique treasures. So 13. 13 is smooth river stone bearing flecks of gold and a dwarven glyph. Okay. With hopefully it's not shaking or anything. I have the camera set up on my DVD shelf, and I think it's doing all right. Let's see. This is Dungeons. Turn on the March doesn't really make sense with this particular thing with the forest. Let's see, the urban experience on dockside events, no. Memorable NPC frills. All right, I'm not finding what I want. So let's just hop right to a Shadow Dark thing, which I just recently read. We're going to go to points of interest in the forest, a D20. 5. Pleasant town. And then there's a section on making settlements in here, but I'm not going to do that. A pleasant town. And I don't think the development, I think the development can be rolled separately. So I'm going to roll a development separately. 20. Roll for hazard. Severity is major. Okay, the hazards are a little later. This is a forest hazard major. How do I tell? Severity is major. Okay, well, we'll see. 2d6. And we've got first. 3 is damage. 1 is boiling geyser spout. Okay, so this is the pleasant town, but there's a boiling geyser spout. So between that and the earth whirlpool, it sounds like things are getting really crazy in the... I'm not going to build the settlement. It sounds like things are getting really crazy in the world at this point. Dungeon dressing. I think I want to do a magic item, maybe. Let's go. What do we have in here? Markets, high district. Here's a forest one. I'm going to roll on the forest one in here. I think it's different. 68. 2d6 orcs make camp and roast a yelping peasant on a spit. So 2d6 orcs. Wow, 12 orcs. Okay. So 12 orcs. Is it orcs with C or K? It's a C. K is 40k, if I remember right. Orcs trying to roast a peasant. All right. So anyway, that's what I've got. So we've got the 5th interregnum of chaos. We have land shark attacking the area. We have earth whirlpools with trees and such being pulled in. The earth whirlpool and the geyser in the pleasant town, those seem like they may be related. And they seem like they're related to the interregnum of chaos. Does that also mean that's why there's a land shark out here? Is the land shark just the boulet or bullet or boulet? Let's see, deep forest with a fountain of youth. Is this maybe people have been exploiting this fountain of youth and that's caused something to go on? Now we have the quest to kill the evil god, and we have down here this god Helix geometric shapes that control aspects of reality. So maybe Helix is broken in some way, has turned evil. Maybe some of the aspects of reality are off balance, and that's why he's gone wrong and created, he or she, I don't know, and created the problem out of balance. Let's see. So we have some things like the smooth river stone. Who knows? We could work that in, maybe. Sword of detonation. I like this, the exploding enemy. That sounds very chaotic. So sword of detonation just sounds right to me. So I definitely think hold on to that. Cog hammer, I don't know. Uh, I do like the visuals, and the cog sounds like order, so it's like a weapon of order. Um, Even without worrying about the necessarily the spinning things, maybe just the cog hammer is just some aspect like out of a realm of order or a god of order or something like that. And it actually sounds like Helix might be a god of order that is now out of order. Um, like a fallen god of order that's turned to chaos, and that's why we're having all this sort of problem. So, yeah. And the rebellion against the good king, that could just be a thing that's happening in the area. You don't have to worry about that's not, or ignore it either way. And that's what I'll do sometimes when I'm doing these encounters. Is I'll do couple of pages of this kind of thing, and I go through and I select the pieces that make sense together, and then start weaving a background story or a concept. I don't really have other than just that it's happening in a forest. I don't really have a location that excites me. A pleasant town in a forest. Okay, and that seems like the kind of place where maybe the players could come and carouse and meet a couple of locals so that they can have a stake in the events that are happening. But it doesn't. I feel like I'd have to find something else, a more interesting and exotic location for certainly for a god fight, and that might have me going back to these, finding some of the weirder charts. I know that there are some of the charts get real strange, and that could be fun. So anyway, that just gives you a general sense. I don't know, I may try to do one of these a little bit more fully at some point if folks like this at all. I've thought about trying to assemble the right kind of charts for the setting that my short stories and my novel in progress, quote unquote, take place in the conquest of the sphere. I've thought about trying to do specific charts that make sense for that setting, because they would be their own charts. Or I'd have to, if I rolled on stuff like this, I'd have to really do some work to make them make sense, because it is a world that doesn't have gods or magic or things like that. So what things would be, like if I were doing this god helix with the geometric shapes that control aspects of reality, this would actually probably be an ancient machine that controls environmental effects in the region, like hyper specific environmental effects in the region, and something has gone wrong with it. So it's gone hyperactive, and is doing, it's cranking up too much heat in one area, or too much extreme weather or lightning or something like that. The cog hammer literally might be some kind of old tech device that needs to be plugged into the helix to get it to function properly again. And so that would, your quest to kill the god would actually be, even if maybe the PCs don't understand it, it's to take the cog hammer and place it into a certain part of the helix to get it to start again. Who knows what this interregnum of chaos would mean? That might just be something somebody called it. Land shark, just come up with a critter that would make sense for that. That's no problem with that. Conquest of the Sphere has plenty of interesting critters for people to face off against. Earth Whirlpool, this could connect in with, if there's something controlling some of the local weathered environmental effects, the idea that it's done something to destroy the underpinning of the local ground. That would make perfect sense. Deep forest is easy. Orcs, that would be replaced either with some other type of people. or if I really wanted to get into stuff, the Yarrow, who are not bad folks but are different, they wouldn't be trying to eat somebody, that's for sure. No dwarf, so it wouldn't be a stone with a dwarven glyph, but there might be some kind of charm that would give people an idea on something. I don't know. No spells. Anyway, just thinking about like what I might do if I switch that over to Conquest of the Sphere. But how do you design your things? I mean, if I had this is if I don't have an idea to start, I'm just like, it's a brainstorming session. That's what it is. It's a brainstorming session. So anyway, do you enjoy this video at all? Is this angle all right? Does it look okay? How about the lighting? I have this cheap light. Well, it's not cheap actually, but this little light here is the only light I have. I have this and light in another room because otherwise the glare on here is insane. Does it look okay? I don't know. Does it sound okay? It's the same sound I always have. I don't know. Anyway, usual stuff. I don't even know when I'm going to post this video. I'm recording it in late March. I may try to post it early April, but we'll see. Until next time, take care.